Awesome. All right. So I am Joe. I am the head of growth here at Pinch Payment, which means that I'm in charge of customer success. I'm in charge of sales, marketing, and for the last 3 years, I've been trying to figure out how to help small businesses use our platform to solve problems in their business. And one of the ways in which we've done that is develop a pretty good set of policies that we teach all of our customers about why they're important, how to implement them, and importantly, how to use Pinch with those policies in mind. I am also a West Tigers fan, so don't hold that against me. I'm a West Tigers fan. It is part of my core identity as a person. I am the host of the West Tigers Faithful podcast. So if you feel like, saying something funny in the chat about the West Tigers, you've got a good target. And that target is me. All right, so let's get on with the show. So what we all probably know, and I suspect most people in this chat are aware of, is that in Australia, the economy is not great. The economy is not great all over the world, really. But when you're a small business owner and the economy is not great, what it tends to do is it makes it a little bit harder to get your funds. It makes it a little bit harder to get paid. People are a little bit slipperier when it comes to making payments. For a range of reasons that range from the positive to the negative. Well, maybe not positive, but let's say like the benign to the malignant. It might be because they're struggling with their own cash flow if you're doing B2B payments, or it could just be that they're overwhelmed. It could just be that, they themselves, us just suffering from extreme burnout. But yeah, essentially right now you can see that it's a pretty big issue, late payment here in Australia. It's actually causing a little bit of a cumulative effect. You've got the economy slowing down, which is causing late payments to slow down, just causing the whole money movement to slow down, which is then causing the economy to slow down, right? It's a little bit of a cumulative thing. So, when you get on board the Pinch journey, you're actually, doing some pretty serious things to help the whole economy. Now this is designed for the Xerocon, so I probably won't I won't sit there and wait for too many responses, but just drop into the chat what you think the 3 core payment problems might be that actually cause late payments. So what I'm talking about is things that small businesses do or don't do that actually they can be doing or could stop doing that cause late payment. If you I'll give you 10 seconds to throw something up in the chat. Any guesses whatsoever? I'll give you a hint. Pinch's solutions actually are relevant here. So it's some things that we actually do that are relevant here. So the first one is, pop your guess in the chat. Yeah, indeed, Cameron. No guesses, that's totally fine. Late billing equals bill shock. Okay, we've got some guesses. The first one is businesses not capturing card or bank account details up front. Okay, so what that means is, the same way that when you check into a hotel, you give them a card up front. The reasons why is because they don't want to chase you if you if you raid the minibar. They don't want to chase you if you trash the room. But when it comes to small businesses, there's still this mentality that it's totally okay to go out and clean that person's house or deliver the digital marketing services and send the invoice at the end of the month and just expect them to pay you. You don't have to. In fact, we've got thousands of businesses in Australia, and there are thousands more using other systems that solve this. Where we differ is that we've actually solved it in a lot of different applications. Most of those other SaaS platforms have solved it in very specific vertical applications, whereas Pinch is much more versatile, and especially when you use the policies that we're going to talk about. The second one, which is obvious, is inconvenience. You're giving somebody an inconvenient payment experience. Now, I use this anecdote a lot, and I think a lot of people relate to it. I have a lot of home service providers. I got people come out clean my house. I got people come out mow my lawn. When they send me a text message link and it says click here to pay, that's cool. Like, I might pay it right now if I'm feeling frisky. Like if I've got high energy, I might click that link and I might pay them. That's good. But when they send me an email and it says, here's my BSB and account number, transfer me the funds. Oh, okay. You're telling me I have to log into my online banking where I'm going to be confronted with the reality of how little money that I have to give to you immediately when I log into the online banking. Chances are, in both of those situations, you're actually going to delay the payment experience. It's very rare, even in the B2C situation, it's very rare that somebody's just going to immediately just jump on there and actually pay you at the time that you send the invoice, which is obviously the time that you want to get paid. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sending them the invoice. So what you should be doing is essentially designing payment experiences to be maximum convenience. And frankly, there's nothing more convenient than not having to do anything at all, which ties into the first point. Then the third one is payment friction. So this is the kind of the big hairy one. It's the one that the problems too are a little bit more, I guess, hard for people to implement. So we're talking about when it's a small business doing business with a larger one, right? So like you might be like a food wholesaler that's selling to Wesfarmers or selling to the Coles or whatever, and they've got you on a 90-day payment term. That is a massive core payment problem, and that's the one that most of the the RBA and all of the big providers out there tend to sort of hone in on at a strategic level and trying to mandate things at the government level. But in reality, we've actually seen our policies and our solutions solve that problem too. So here are the 6 payment policies that you can implement in pretty much any business to make a more efficient accounts receivables process, to increase cash flow, to give yourself more cash flow certainty. One, capturing that payment method during onboarding. So we have an ability for you to send out a link to a customer so that they can put their payment details into the Pinch system. When they do that, Pinch, when you raise an invoice, Pinch will auto debit it on that invoice's due date, right? So we have that form. It's a simple form. You go into Pinch, you send the customer the form via email, copy paste the link, send it to them, whatever you want to do, or you can even enter the details yourself. Once you have that payment method in there, you can actually auto debit them. Now, to take it one step further, we've integrated with platforms like OnboardMe, we've integrated with platforms like Anature, and we even now have a Salesforce integration, which allows you to actually capture that payment method at the point with which you're creating a customer, right? So whether that's they've rang you up to book in, or whether they've gone through your website to book the first appointment, or to book the first service, or place that first order, at that point, you can send them, your terms of service through Aniture's document signing platform and capture the payment method there. Or you can send them an OnboardMe link to start the process of onboarding them if you're an accountant. Or if you're a Salesforce user, you can just punch the details straight into Salesforce. You can even do it with Xero. So we've got a whole range of ways. The idea of it here, the mentality is making it part of your mandated onboarding experience, capturing that customer's payment method of choice, whether it's a card or a bank account. And then the next one is automating the collection. So I had a conversation with a new Pinch merchant yesterday, and they understood the first part, and they were doing the first part. They were capturing the payment method up front, but then they weren't automating the collection of the payment. So they're actually creating the process where they had to come in and they had to manually take the payment, but you can actually schedule it. Now, obviously, there are certain situations like where you might be on milestone payments. You might need approval from the customer in order to actually bill them along the schedule. They might have a review process built in. You might be a business like that, and that's totally fine. But if you're not, there's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't just automate the scheduling of that. And Pinch does that by default by having it auto schedule on the invoice's due date. So when you capture that payment method and you raise that invoice, whether it's in Xero, QuickBooks, or MYOB, or even if it's from a platform that integrates with them. So you might be raising the invoice in Quick B2B, or raising the invoice in Pool Tracker or something like that, and it flows through into Xero. Pinch will then take that invoice, sync it to Pinch, and automatically charge it on the due date on that stored payment method that you stored before, and then manually automatically reconcile it back into your accounting system too. So it closes the loop that way as well. Making sure that you're offering customers multiple different ways to pay. Now in Australia, there's 2 big ones, EFT and card. Card being credit card or debit card. You're pretty good as long as you're giving those 2. Now there's lots of other solutions out there too, wallets and things like that, and they're good too. Pinch does have some functionality from that perspective as well, but really ensuring that you're at the very least giving customers a choice to pay by card if they want to, because we've seen it time and time again where businesses don't realize that not offering card processing is actually a reason that they're getting paid late, because if they can't put it on a card, then they're having to go in and transfer the funds. That's creating that inconvenient payment experience. But more importantly, it means that they can't collect loyalty points on their card, or they can't put it on credit when they prefer to put it on credit, because that's just the way that they operate their cash flow. Without that, you're basically going to be causing them to need to follow a different process where monthly they might go and, put all of their payables into their system and, aggregate that through some sort of accounts payable platform, or even just manually transferring you the funds. It's inconvenient. So there's a lot of reasons why you would want to make sure you're always offering cards. And at the same time, there's also, if you're only offering cards, a lot of reasons why you would only want to offer direct debit, namely that it costs less. People don't really take kindly to only having a card option. Some people anyway. As I mentioned before, designing for convenience. As I said before, it's about really just the pre-approval process, making sure that there's nothing but convenience. But the other thing that we do see a lot of success with is when merchants offer customers the ability to pay on different schedules. So if you might be a business that's doing quarterly recurring payments, for example, if you actually send out that invoice quarterly, but give the customer the ability to break it down into weekly or monthly payments, you're going to actually initiate that auto payment agreement immediately, right? So, for example, we have a merchant that is a school, a kindergarten to year 12 school. So it's like a very large school up in central Queensland. And at the start of the school year, they send out the one invoice for the whole school year's fees, so tuition fees to the parents. So instead of invoicing for a whole quarter every quarter, or a whole semester every semester, they send out the year at the start, and they go, you have the option to choose weekly, fortnightly, monthly, or termly. And then what they find is that pretty much it's never really every, but for all intents and purposes, statistically valid, every parent will opt into one of those options or pay in full at the very start of the school year. And then from there, it's just auto scheduling. From the alternative in the past was 4 times a year raising a whole bunch of invoices that for most parents are too hard to pay at once. So they're then having to chase. A lot of the parents are then asking for payment plans, which just really are just the parents transferring funds manually once a week instead, which then causes a lot of downstream reconciliation headaches and things like that. So designing your accounts receivable process for the most convenience means giving the most options to your customers, including scheduling. In the B2B use case, so for example, what we see with food wholesalers, which is a lot of our customer base, or wholesalers in general, basically any business that's invoicing the same customer quite regularly. When I say quite regularly, I mean like more than once a month. Giving your customers access to the Pinch customer portal so that they can actually pay all of those invoices in one batch payment means one thing to do. Prior, we were seeing examples where, when I'll give you a really good example, right? So we'll have a food wholesaler who has a restaurant that's using an ordering system, a restaurant client who's using an ordering system to place all of the orders for all of the food that they need. And that they're doing that every 2 days, right? Because it's a restaurant and the food expires. So they have to be constantly replenishing stock. And this ordering system is then creating invoices in Xero every time. So there's 15 invoices by the end of the month because they're doing it every 2 days. Those invoices are being auto sent by Xero. So essentially every 2 days, an invoice is going to that customer asking them to pay it. That customer only wants to pay you once a month. So at the end of the month, that customer has to go into their emails and find 15 invoices, click 15 payment links, put their details in 15 times. It sounds crazy, but it's frequent. Xero invoiced me for XeroCon that way. Xero sent me an invoice, 6 separate invoices for XeroCon. It's on 6 separate dates, instead of just sending me, an ability to schedule the payments and do it conveniently. That's Xero themselves invoicing a Xero payments partner. So what does that say to you? And then the final one, transparency in terms. So this is where it relates to. Thanks, Cameron. This is where it relates to the 60 and 90-day payment terms conundrum. So what I find is when I talk to businesses that deal with larger businesses, it's always like, there's no way they'll give me a payment method. It's Wesfarmers. There's no way. It's Woolies. It's BWS or whatever. But firstly, that's not true. Firstly, straight up, we've seen BWS and Wesfarmers allow certain customers to put their Amexes down and their frequent flyer cards down and auto debit the invoices that they raise. Obviously, it's contextual. It probably has a lot to do with the balance, the power balance, the dynamic, the relationship there. But ultimately, what the pre-approval does by default is it auto debits on the due date. So for you as a supplier, it's debiting on the last date of the payment term, not the day that you're raising the invoice. So when you make that clear, it comes out like this. It's like, we need to put you on pre-approval because it's a policy. Oh, you can't do that because you'll just charge me whenever. No, we'll charge you on the very last day. Oh, that doesn't work for us because we need to be able to process it through our internal accounts payable system for our own reconciliation. That's totally fine. You can do that. But what the pre-approval does is it ensures that if you miss it because you get sick or whatever, you get fired or whatever, we still get it on an expected time frame. We get that payment on day 60 or day 90, which is fantastic. It's not as good as getting it on day one, but it means that you get it on a predictable time frame. It's very hard to argue with that logic. It's like, okay, so at a certain point, you can pay us the way you want if you want. And if you pay us inside of your agreed upon timeframes, that's totally fine. But you won't let us auto debit you on the very last day as a backup plan. It's really, really hard arguments to lose, to be honest. So how does Pinch work? As I've sort of alluded to, we have the pre-approvals functionality, which is essentially a card on file or a direct debit system. It's actually both in one because it's a form that captures either a card or a bank account, which then we store tokenized, securely, PCI compliant, waiting for an invoice to get raised in your connected accounting system. And when it does, we auto debit it on the due date. That's pre-approvals. The payment plans feature allows you to schedule auto debits on invoice due dates. It allows you to set up breakdowns. So essentially what that means is that you can go into Pinch and you can split, you can set up like take 4 payments weekly, take 8 payments weekly, take 2 fortnightly payments, take quarterly payments. You can actually design a whole range of different invoice breakdown payment plans and either manually send invites to a customer that you've invoiced. So for example, if a customer gets an invoice and comes back to you and says, I can't actually pay this on time, can you give me a payment plan? You can just manually manage that process, fine. Or if you want, you can just enable it on the Pay Now page. So when you send your invoice out of your Xero or whatever system and they click Pay Now, they see not just the ability to pay in full, but the options to choose from. And that's how that school does it that I was referring to previously. I have alluded to the customer portal. The customer portal functionality allows clients to manage their own payments to you. That's where that bigger sort of client who might be getting invoiced quite regularly can just log in, tick, 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 pay multiple payments in one unified place, and they can even connect other payees, recipients of their payments to that. So if they have multiple different businesses using Pinch, for example, they can use that system to pay invoices to multiple different businesses. Obviously, we have that accounting integration, which is why this is a Xerocon presentation. We integrate with Xero, QuickBooks, and MYOB. We have the ability to use MasterCard's click-to-pay functionality, which is coming soon, which is very exciting. For those who don't know, MasterCard's click-to-pay is going to pre-tokenize any issued MasterCard worldwide, meaning that if you have that option enabled on your payment system, when somebody who has a MasterCard comes in to pay you, and they're not anonymous because it syncs up based on identifiable information like email address and stuff like that. If they come in, it'll already be there. So they can literally just press a button to pay you instead of having to enter the details. It's a very interesting functionality that's coming down the pipe from MasterCard. And then finally, scheduled payment matching, which I don't really know exactly what Marty meant when he put that in this presentation, but it sounds cool anyway. Now, let me see if I can figure that out. Work with their terms, not yours. Oh, yeah, that's just auto reconciliation. Interesting language used. All of the payments that get made in the Pinch system just auto rec in Xero. You just go in and press a bunch of buttons, press OK a lot. Quickly going to talk about one of our customers, but before I do that, if you do have any questions, pop them in the chat. As you know, Cam's here because he did jump in and say hi. If there's anything that wasn't clear there, happy to take a pause, have a sip of my Solo Energy, sponsoring the webinar today, because the last thing I need is more energy. And maybe answer any questions that you might have about the pinch functionality or the weather. It's a really nice weather outside today. I see no questions, so I must be doing an absolutely fabulous job explaining everything. Shirt plus Solo equals productivity to 11. 100%. All right. Say hello to Simone Segolis. Simone Segolis is one of our favorite customers. We talk about her a lot. Simone is a founder of a business called Jetlag Remedy. Jetlag Remedy is a domestic cleaning company. I'm sure if you asked her what her business was, she would come up with something much, 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 much fancier to say than domestic cleaning, domestic concierge service or something. But she's a domestic cleaning company. She started a few years back with a pretty small operation and a dream to basically market the business as a solution to that problem of, I've just come back from holiday, or I've just come back from business, and I've walked into my house and it's kind of messy because I left in a rush and it was messy, right? So that's why it's Jetlag Remedy. It's like you come home and you go inside and you're walking into a hotel level prepped home. You know, there's like, the place smells beautiful and there's like mints on the pillow and stuff. Like, it's actually a fantastic idea. But at the same time, while that might be like how she kind of gets customers, it is a domestic cleaning company at its heart, and they do recurring billing. And she scaled it up that way. And she's also franchised it and things like that. When she came to us, she had a consistent issue with chasing payment because, lo and behold, she used to just invoice customers and hope that they paid her, even with a credit card solution in the mix at the time. Like, so at the time, I think she was using one of our competitors that just offers the ability to just press the pay now link and pay via credit card. She came to us with around about $30,000 of consistent aged receivables. Now she has essentially none. The only aged receivables that she has now are from NDIS payers. And that's a big problem that we as a community need to probably fix. But in reality, it's reduced it down by, tens of thousands down to in the hundreds. And what that's allowed Simone to do is essentially not spend time on the couch chasing invoices at night, not have anxiety pulling her hair out about whether she's pricing wrong, not have anxiety pulling her hair out about whether or not she can pay that cleaner that she sent out to clean old Bill's house or whatever. Instead, she's got a business that's just flowing. Leads come in and get closed, money comes in. Work gets done, money comes in. What that does is it liberates her. It liberates her personally, but it also liberates her business-wise as well, because instead of having to think about constantly having to find that next customer or constantly having to figure out how to get that dollar to pay that bill, she's actually focusing on the business in a different way. She's turned herself into an influencer. So Simone has taken all of that spare time that she's got back, all of that free time, not just time, but also bandwidth, mental energy, capacity, and she spends it on her business in a way more tangible way. If you Google Simone, you'll find videos of her on Sunrise and Today and stuff like that in the AFR, telling stories about franchising and services business. It's a genuinely awesome story. And she'll tell you herself, it largely comes down to the fact that she drew a line in the sand and said, I'm not going to do work for clients who don't give me a payment method. That simple. That one simple change that she made to her service business completely flipped not just her business, but her entire life on her head. So that's one of the best case studies you could possibly imagine for pre-approvals. It's applied in a home services environment. It's applied to a business that traditionally just sends invoices and waits for payments. And it's genuinely done wonders for that business. I'm not going to tell you what her figures are right now, but believe me, Jetlag Remedy is absolutely killing it. Even in this difficult economy, which is an important tie-in to one of the earlier points. So if all that went over your head, remember a couple of three key things. One, having piss poor payment policies is actually optional. All of what I've said to you here are things you can do. There's no rules around this stuff. There's no rules in business that say this, that, or the other. And in fact, there's no rules that say your customers dictate to you how they pay you either, because ultimately everything is a choice. Everything comes down to how you want to run your business. ultimately, if you ask somebody up front, like if you get a lead from somebody and then you have a sales conversation with them and they're like, yeah, cool, let's go ahead, and you stick a form in front of them and say, cool, give me your payment details so I can bill you, and they say, how about no? You don't have to yeah, you don't have to do the work. In reality, actually taking on that work is likely to eventually cause you issues, because even the best payers will often skip payments, or they'll forget, or they'll go away, they get sick or whatever. It's unreliable. It creates an unreliable business from the ground up. So it is optional to do that. I've been doing this now for 3 years. For the first 6 months that I was here, all I would hear, oh, my customers wouldn't go for that. Oh, my customers wouldn't go for that. Oh, my customers wouldn't go for that. Over and over and over again. We have 3,000 merchants doing transactions on pre-approvals now every week across about 30 different industries. Your customers will go for it fine, and the ones that do not want. That's the key message to sink in. Now, the second one is, if you aren't getting more convenient with the payments, and as I said, and I'll say it again, there's nothing more convenient than asking your customer to do nothing. But if you aren't getting more convenient with the customers in terms of giving them more options, more choices, more ability, more scheduling options, you know, being able to pay at the way that they need, when they need, except for late, you're actually going to eventually get, this problem will catch up with you if it hasn't already caught up with you. And lastly, yeah, Pinch is pretty great, as you can see. Not only because we have a great platform, but we also have great people like Cameron, like Chloe, like Stacy, like Anna, like Damien, who are here to help you every day with these issues. If you feel like it's confusing or you're still not convinced, you can have a chat with us. We will talk to you. We are real people. We are payments technology by real people. So that's that. That is payments policies, perfect payment policies to prevent poor payment performance. If you haven't already, consider joining the Pinch Partner Program, because if you are an accountant or you're a bookkeeper and you don't think that this platform's quite for you, you probably have a customer who you think the platform might be pretty good for. Scan that QR code. Let's have a chat about signing you up as a partner so you can get more education, more training, more materials. You can get involved in the community, help drive the future of Pinch, and solve some of these problems for your customers and make some commissions along the way. So let's go.